risen to the challenge.
Played them earlier in the year, so we're aware of how good they are.
I'm expecting them to play the best game that they've ever played this season, and I think we're ready for it.
You're watching the NCAA Volleyball National Semifinals presented by Northwestern Mutual. Top-seeded Stanford has that September win over Penn State, but it's the Nittany Lions win in last year's region final that still irks the Cardinal, as the Nittany Lions went on to win the national championship. It was their sixth to match the sixth that Stanford has. So now one of them will play for that seventh national championship on Saturday night against BYU. The unseeded Cougars are seeking their first title on Saturday night. Welcome to Oklahoma City. I'm Beth Mullins along with Karch Karai. We've got two of the volleyball royalty with us tonight with the combined 12 national championships, and here are Stanford and Penn State again, center stage.
Both these programs have been so dominant. 4 out of 6 years in the 90s, Stanford won. Penn State's won 5 out of the last 7, and they stand in each other's way again, just like last year in the regional finals. Epic matchup coming.
They have also made those combined national semifinal appearances, and the overall tournament win, Stanford is #1 all time. Head-to-head, they are even, but it's Penn State with the 4-2 advantage in the NCAA tournament. Penn State and Stanford, they've been waiting all season to get back together, and here they are again in the semis. We'll meet the starters and hear from Holly coming up.
Penn State is heading back to the national semifinals. The road to Oklahoma City paved for the Nittany Lions.
Burgess off the block and out, and Stanford will advance. The top seed is headed to Oklahoma City.
Phone company?
Yes, hi, my internet's down.
I'm sorry to hear that. Try www.phonecompanyproblems.com.
I can't because my internet's down.
Okay, then go ahead and email our customer service.
No, I don't have the internet.
Download our helpful PDF.
Sir, my internet does not work.
Wait, you have no internet?
No.
You need to call someone.
Want better service? Cox Business has 24/7 local support, so you can switch with confidence. Bundle and save today.
I love this new sriracha burger.
It's sriracha.
Sriracha.
No, sriracha.
Sriracha.
No, watch how I say it. Sriracha.
That's not helping.
Bam! That's Jack's new spicy sriracha burger, coming in all hot and melty with jalapenos and bacon. But the best part? It's not just sriracha sauce. It's creamy whatever it's called. It's awesome sauce.
Cancel my morning meetings.
How about a meeting with pizza?
Where's Orion's belt?
Light years from pizza.
Dom, how do I do karate?
I don't know karate, but I know pizza.
Jiu-jitsu?
Introducing voice ordering on the Domino's app, the newest way to order.
Dom, I'm gonna need a pizza.
I thought you'd never ask.
Tell Dom what you want, or ask for this $5.99 deal.
I'm on it.
Success doesn't just happen. It takes work. At Northwestern Mutual, we'll help you build a financial plan and stick with it, doing the little things that can lead to big rewards.
The NCAA Women's Volleyball Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual, proud to be an official corporate partner of the NCAA. And in part by Domino's. Visit Domino's.com.
Back here in Oklahoma City, Penn State, over the last 8 years, they are 40-2 in this NCAA tournament with 5 titles. Here's their lineup going for another one.
Allie Franti, Spring Grove, Illinois, outside hitter.
Hi, I'm Nia Grant. I'm from Warren, Ohio, and I'm a middle hitter.
Hi, I'm Micah Hancock from Edmond, Oklahoma, and I'm a setter.
Haley Washington, Colorado Springs, Colorado, middle blocker.
Hi, I'm Megan Courtney from Dayton, Ohio, and I'm an outside hitter.
Lacey Fuller, San Diego, California, defensive specialist.
Dominique Gonzalez, San Antonio, Texas, libero.
And for Stanford, their first semifinal in 6 years. They haven't won it all in 10. The Cardinal think it's time to end the drought. Here's their starters.
Morgan Bocather, Newport Beach, California, right side.
Kelsey Humphreys, Newport Beach, California, setter.
Inky Ajanaku, Tulsa, Oklahoma, middle blocker.
Brittany Howard, Los Altos, California, outside hitter.
Maddie Bug, Apex, North Carolina, setter.
Jordan Burgess, Fort Myers, Florida, outside hitter.
Kyle Gilbert from Encinitas, California, and I'm a libero.
And let's check in now with Holly Rowe.
Well, there is two players on each team that are here playing in front of friends and family for the first time in their career. Micah Hancock and Inky Ajanaku. For Inky of Stanford, she is from about 2 hours away in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Her team flew into Tulsa on their way here, spent the night at her house, and were able to have a nice dinner. She's so excited to play in front of about 20 friends and family. For Micah Hancock, she's from 20 minutes away in Edmond, Oklahoma. She had the team over to her house. She said she's got about 60 people here watching her. The key is to be excited and have fun playing in front of friends and family, but still stay dialed in and focused and all about team despite the homecoming.
The Edmond Memorial Bulldogs will be watching Hancock. The Comets of Bishop Kelly over in Tulsa supporting Inky Ajanaku as these two powerhouses get set to get together once again. The winner will face BYU, the Cougars, the first unseeded team into the final in history. They will be seeking their first championship. Stanford, the top seed in white. The 5 seed Nittany Lions in blue. We've got 2 of the top 3 setters in the country ready to set the tone for their teams. Russ Rose, #1 all-time in wins, #1 all-time in national championships for a coach. He's already in the AVC Hall of Fame. Hancock, one of the best servers in the history of the game when you look at the statistics. And she's also their setter, the back set to Ayanna Whitney. Whitney will get another go at it, stuffed a couple of times by Stanford and Ajanaku. And that one over the top. And a touch for Penn State. And John Dunning, if you're a lip reader, holy cow, or something close to that.
Something that rhymes with wrap, like wrap a present. You know, it's Christmas time.
He has 4 national championships, 2 of them at Stanford and 2 of them at the University of Pacific. He too is in the AVCA Hall of Fame. Hancock, who will let it rip, and from that left hand as well, gets the ace. #1 in the country in aces this season. She set a new NCAA single season record this year.
And watch how it tails to her right. Most passers not used to that because they don't have many left-handed servers in their gym. Tailing again, and Stanford in trouble on that one. Opportunity here for Penn State to turn the point.
Last week in the region finals, Stanford routed Florida. The Gators were not able to serve them very tough at all. And Russ Rose, and in particular Hancock, knew they would have to serve strong tonight to have a chance.
Yeah, so watch, this thing's going to tail off to the right side. She often hits it cross court. And she's creating lots of trouble. That pass too close to the net. Part of the trouble is that she hits it hard. It bounces off your arms farther and goes too close for your setter to control it.
And a very early timeout from John Dunning, whose Cardinal have fallen behind 5-zip.
Success doesn't just happen. It takes work. At Northwestern Mutual, we'll help you build a financial plan and stick with it, doing the little things that can lead to big rewards.
Cancel my morning meetings.
How about a meeting with pizza.
Where's Orion's belt?
Light years from pizza.
Dom, how do I do karate?
I don't know karate, but I know pizza.
Jiu-jitsu?
Introducing voice ordering on the Domino's app, the newest way to order.
Dom, I'm gonna need a pizza.
I thought you'd never ask.
Tell Dom what you want, or ask for this $5.99 deal.
I'm on it.
Penn State up early as we take a look at tonight's Planning for Success, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
Yeah, a couple of big freshmen for Penn State who've been producing all year long. Haley Washington in the middle, Allie Franti, the outside, who has already put a ball away for a kill for Penn State. And then on the other side for Stanford, same story, different ending. They lost in this same Battle of the Behemoths. Now watch again, Hancock's serve as a left-hander will tail off to the side like that, and it gives passers trouble because they don't get to see that and face it in their gym much.
Double contact whistled on Penn State. Point Stanford, and the Cardinal are on the board.
Yep, and that same story, different ending. Stanford's talked about that since it happened. They were up 9-6 in the 5th and final set, the tiebreaker. Last year, felt like they were so close, and then it was yanked away by Penn State, who went on to win another title and tie them with each program with 6 apiece. So Stanford absolutely does not want that to happen again and have that roadblock be Penn State.
Players said that has been on their mind and would be a part of their motivation from last December until this one. And now their time has come. How will they respond with the moment at hand? In what Coach John Dunning said, the key will be that we didn't get bitter, we got better. And now we are better equipped to beat Penn State this time around.
But boy, did that sting. Lots of Stanford fans remember that. And the other part of the sting was, why did they have to play each other in that regional final round? Really, essentially the quarterfinals.
Maybe not bitterness, but certainly some sour notes left over from last year. The series history between these two. The 17th meeting, they're all even at 8 apiece. They met back in September. Stanford won, but certainly much more at stake here tonight. That went 5 sets. Haley Washington did not play. She was out with an injury. And Moretta Lutz, the big middle for Stanford, was severely limited, coming back from an injury. So much different story here tonight. Here's Maddie Bugg, the 2-time Center of the Year in the Pac-12, setting up Inky Ajanaku, the first-team All-American.
Well, here's what we're seeing so far. Nobody can receive serve and put the ball away. Teams are scoring at will when they're serving. Ajanaku hitting so sharp. She is tall and is such an explosive jumper. And both these teams having lots of trouble controlling the serve of the opponent.
Well, the run of 5 straight for Stanford comes to an end. Penn State by 1. The passing has been an issue on either side of the net thus far.
Certainly
Here is Allie Franti, one of those freshmen from Spring Grove, Illinois. A member of Penn State's top-ranked recruiting class. She and Washington were the top 2 recruits coming out of high school last year, and Russ Rose got them both to try and reload. Megan Courtney tools the block.
Well, certainly on both sides of the net, we're seeing much more effective and aggressive swings than we saw with Texas struggling on their left side with somebody like Haley Eckerman in the previous semi with that huge upset. Unseeded BYU, first unseeded team to win the semi, get to the final.
Ajanaku gets another kill. We've seen this throughout the season and into the NCAA tournament. If you are going to challenge Stanford, you have got to be able to deal with the middles and with Ajanaku at the net.
Well, Coach Rose was saying yesterday, look, Ajanaku, you know she's going to get the ball, and there's nothing you can do about it. So most of what you have to do is serve so tough that they can't get her the ball, because once they can, it goes to the floor.
There is Haley Washington, the other freshman out of Colorado Springs, the Big Ten Rookie of the Year this season. As Nia Grant serves to the libero. which Penn State was going to try and challenge Kyle Gilbert on serve receive as the Cardinal pick up a point. And now Gilbert, the senior out of Encinitas, second all-time in digs in Stanford history, will serve it up. And the service error.
And Stanford doesn't just have one strong middle in Inky Ajanaku, of course an All-American, but now the other one checks into the game, Moretta Lutz, who is 6'8" and surprisingly good at the ball control part of her game. We saw her some nice sets. There she is hitting high.
Fuller was in the right position. Courtney has to just play it across. Bug to Lutz. Boy, Gilbert cleaned up the miscue there. Chance for Penn State. Courtney against just the one blocker kill for Penn State.
Well, I like what Maddie Bug was trying to do on that play. She jumped really hard to try to get some interest in the block, but misconnected with Lutz, gave the chance to Penn State.
There's Lutz, and at 6'8", that trajectory is almost straight down into the floor.
Yep, and the other thing about her is, as Coach Dunning was talking about, she has a really big window. So even if she gets set low and doesn't get to contact the ball with a straight elbow, reaching really high, she'll still find a way to put it to the floor.
Slowed down by the block that time, and now it's Jordan Burgess with a swing. Hancock goes to get it. Courtney with the tip. Bocather got a piece of it. Free ball, Penn State. Hancock looking outside to Courtney. Point Penn State.
So watch, the one thing that Lutz has a trouble with, that's the middle for Stanford, number 17, is she's so tall that she can't move as fast laterally as some shorter players. So that's what Penn State's going to try and do, is stress her a little bit, get her interested to her left, and then set her to her right, and she can't arrive in time.
Bug looking to Lutz. Missed it wide. Lacey let it go. Point Penn State.
So this would be an example of a little bit lower set. Most of the time, Maddie Bug has been very accurate. She has two middles who both contact the ball at a really high point. It's an advantage for her to keep making them reach.
Service error Penn State from Lainey Pierce. Point Stanford. Courtney checks back in, and now Gilbert, or excuse me, Jordan Burgess, the junior out of Fort Myers, Florida, former ESPN High School National Player of the Year, really coming into her own at Stanford. And there is Micah Hancock against the 6'8" Lutz, going over on two.
Exactly. Remember, setters always set up with their right shoulder next to the net, like Hancock. So she can do that. She can throw it down, kind of a slam dunk. If the ball's higher, she can actually attack it, or she can set anywhere.
An advantage for the left-hander. Dribbles along the tape and out. Point Nittany Lions.
Absolutely. So she presents big challenges for any three blockers at the net, because she can attack in different ways and set anywhere.
Second timeout for Stanford. We will take it along with them. Penn State in front early in this heavyweight matchup in the national semifinals here in Oklahoma City.
Invictus, the new fragrance for men by Paco Rabanne.
At Macy's, your fragrance destination.
You better watch out, you better not cry, better not pout, I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. He sees you when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake.
Make your dreams come true this season with the Infinity Limited Engagement Winter Event. Right now, lease an Infinity Q50 for $329 a month. Visit your local Infinity retailer.
9, Penn State on top. We've got two tremendous setters in Maddie Bug and Micah Hancock. A little different, though, with a lefty and a righty attacking.
Exactly, Beth. Remember that Hancock, with being left-handed and her right shoulder next to the net, she can swing hard, she can jam, but the one thing Maddie Bug cannot do is be a strong attacker with her left hand. She can drop it in with her right like that or jam it down with the left. And so that hitting option differentiates them a little, stresses opposing blocks a little. And remember, the other thing, we've already seen Hancock at the service line with that powerful jump spin serve that she hits. That tails in a different direction gives passers trouble.
4 kills for Courtney, 3 kills for Ajanaku to lead their teams. Penn State hitting .444 thus far.
And the other thing you can see is from the Penn State left side hitters, like Ali Franti on that last play, they are attacking the line a lot, hitting high hands and attacking that right side blocker for Stanford. Had a lot of success so far.
Bug to Lutz, hammers it. Point Stanford.
Watch how high she contacts this, which means she can hit it shallower in the court. Most hitters might hit it into the last 10 feet. She hits it only about, it would have bounced only about 11, 12 feet away from the net. Nice pass.
Lutz is now out. Ajanaku back in the middle. Hancock back row. Courtney, boy, are they looking to her a lot early on. Leading all hitters, 5 kills on 8 swings.
She is coming out with a huge arm. Watch the transition. You got a hitter running behind and then Courtney coming down the middle out of the back court. We call that a pipe or a bick. And she only had 1 blocker to face. Again, Hancock at the line causing trouble for Stanford.
Franti. Burgess tried to get there. Perhaps Penn State, you know, Russ Rose thinking, let's get it to Courtney. Let's get the veteran going. Let's let the freshman try and ease into it with a few swings here early. And now they've got their ace back behind the service line, and Hancock scored 5 points off of her serve the first time around. Whitney stuffed, and Stanford will limit Hancock scoreless on that go-round.
But she sure caused a good opportunity. That's all you can ask for, is to get your opposite. A good swing, just goes low, tries to get around one of the best middle blockers in the country, doesn't work.
Boy, a lot of decoys going on the Penn State side there as Franti gets the kill and now will serve. Actually, she will check out. And they'll replace her with Kendall Pierce. Ajanaku, the slide, that's her bread and butter, and gets the kill.
Boy, interesting that Penn State chose to only put 1 blocker on Ajanaku. You'll see here that the blockers will go that way. 2 blockers go to our left, leaving just a one-on-one situation. That's dangerous with Ajanaku. She's very effective.
Whitney with the tip. Point Penn State. Let's check in with Holly.
Well, that is something that John Dunning noticed earlier. In the last time out, he actually told his players, look, they're only sending 1 blocker out with Inky. Let's run that more. That is a tendency he noticed and took advantage.
Service error for Penn State. Well, Ajanaku is the junior from Tulsa who has spent some time over the summer at the U.S. National Camp and is now a 2-time All-American.
And Coach Dunning said, spending a little time in the USA gym with some of the stars who have competed at this level, like Krista Harmato for Penn State, who happens to be attending tonight, and Faluka Akinraduo for Stanford, was really inspirational to her and showed her how much farther she still has to go. And she just said, I've got a checklist a mile long of things I got to get better at.
Yeah. It is Megan Courtney right now that is looking like the best player in the gym so far for Penn State, as Stanford gets the kill. Maddie Bug, out of Apex, North Carolina, grew up in the game, played club ball for her mom and her dad. In fact, her mother was an All-American in the Hall of Fame at Tennessee. Courtney again. Dug in the back. And a whistle violation. I think Bug got underneath and across the line. Point Penn State, and now they are 4 points from the opening set.
Just like that, it has slipped away rapidly for Stanford. That 5-0 start, 0-5 start, certainly didn't help.
#1 in the country for the last 13 weeks. The top seed, they've lost just once. They have only trailed in 6 matches all season. Behind late here in the first. Bug and Lutz almost collide. Both seem to be okay. Washington couldn't find the floor. Washington sliding again. Back to Burgess, blocked. Pops it over. Franti gets a rip at it. Point Penn State. Stanford does not have a timeout to use to try and slow it down right now. Pierce, they continue to try and serve at Gilbert the Libero. Bocather with a nice swing. So fast on the attack out there for her.
Yep, you saw she only had 1 blocker. That's why the speed of that set does not allow that middle blocker, Haley Washington in that case for Penn State, time to get over there.
They are the hottest team coming in, 18 straight wins. They've won 53 of their last 54 sets, led by their 3-time All-American setter, Micah Hancock, as well as the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, Haley Washington, who gets another kill. Micah right now is setting Penn State at a 467 clip. Check that, up to 484. You want to be hitting around or just above 300. They are close to 500 here in the first. Bocather thunders one down.
That is picture perfect Stanford volleyball, but they've had very little of it in this first set. Perfect pass by Gilbert. That ball barely gets over the height of the antenna. That set, 1-on-1, easy put away for Bocather. The trouble is Stanford has not been passing well enough to run that consistently.
Franti. He's past a Bug. Now Howard off the tips. Stanford able to extend the play. Howard got it blocked. Free ball, Penn State. And the attack by Hancock. Bunch of set points now for PSU.
I like how Stanford's getting on the floor, keeping the ball alive, but remember, we talked about that option for Hancock. She can throw it to the floor, and here we are at set point 24-16. Nobody expected this.
Back set. Ajanaku on the slide, missed it wide. One of the poorest sets of the entire season for Stanford, and it comes in the opener here in the national semis. It is all Nittany Lions to start. 25-16 as they hit 471, led by Franti and Courtney with 6 kills apiece.
Customer appreciation is back.
Enjoy 2 favorites for $2 each. The 6-inch meatball marinara and the cold cut combo.
All that for just $2?
Yup, it's our way of saying thanks.
Subway, eat fresh.
So many gifts to buy at so many stores. Too bad some cashback cards only let you earn bonus cashback at a few places. Then those categories change every few months. Sometimes it's drugstores, then it's hardware stores. Nothing says happy holidays like a shovel. Fortunately, there's the Quicksilver card from Capital One. With Quicksilver, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase every day. 'Tis the season to ask, what's in your wallet?
Cheer for the stumbles. The he shoulda had that's. And the tears that linger. For in those moments, greatness lies. There, you will find the provoked, the determined, the unified. It's in those moments that champions are born.
You're watching the NCAA Women's Volleyball National Semifinals presented by Northwestern Mutual. That championship trophy up for grabs on Saturday night. BYU will be there, and Penn State here in our second semifinal. Impressive with Micah Hancock leading the way.
Yep, she does so many things for her team with her serve at the line and then at the net. When she's in those situations where she's in the front court, she can attack as a setter, she can set as a setter, and she puts the ball in lots of nice spots. Penn State's left side hitters on fire so far. That's why her assist total is so high.
Penn State just handed Stanford its worst set loss of the season. It ties the mark from set 4 in their regular season matchup when Penn State beat Stanford 25-16. Now what kind of adjustments will the Cardinal have to try and make here? They hit 273. They got Inky some swings. She was 4 of 6. But Courtney and Franti combined for 12 kills.
Well, it's interesting. It looks like Stanford has not changed the matchup at all, which means that Micah Hancock, who is usually Penn State's first server, is serving into the same lineup that she had last time. Inky Ajanaku at the net. So no changes. Little surprised that Stanford didn't look for a different starting order.
Well, and Micah Hancock, who started out on a 5-0 rip to open up game 1, gets the first point of this second set. The left-hander, the top server in the country this year, was the most outstanding player in last year's tournament, leading Penn State to the championship and the service error. Now it's Morgan Bocather, the senior out of Newport Beach, in her first year as a starter. And starting is big at Stanford because they do not utilize their bench very much. So you don't get a whole lot of playing time unless you can crack that top 6.
No, but that's one of their advantages is they have the same players together on the court so much of the time. The same 5 players with the setter Maddie Bug, the opposite Bocather, who just makes the play there. The libero Gilbert and the 2 outsides. Howard, who's blocking here. And then finally Jordan Burgess.
And the block for Grant and Franti. This is a nice bounce back for Allie Franti as she goes back to serve after a subpar performance, was under the weather in their region final. Actually got pulled for another freshman, Simone Lee. But Franti, for much of the season, was leading this Penn State team in kills. And the ace.
And if you're going to go at that line passer, that's exactly where you want to go. Hit her high toward the left shoulder. Boy, if you could dial that one in every time, you'll take it, landing it in the corner. Now Stanford is crowding over, trying to help take some space away from Howard, but still gets her the ball.
Courtney didn't get a touch, taps her chest, says my bad, point Stanford. Brittany Howard to serve, the junior out of Los Altos, player that John Dunning calls the glue of this team. Hancock, the tip from Grant. point Penn State in an attempt to get to the finals for the 10th time in school history. For Stanford, it would be a 15th trip. Russ Rose has been so good at this point. He's 9-2 all-time in the national semis. And after losing in the finals the first 3 times he got there, he's won the last 6 trips to the championship match.
Is that all? 6? Come on, you can do better than that. Ooh.
Right down through the hardwood. The sport court for Megan Courtney.
And I love how her teammate, Haley Washington, going crazy for her. That's one of the best ways you can inspire your teammates. Celebrate those around you and their successes.
Burgess beat the block. Point Stanford. Maddie Bug now serving. Led the country in assists per set this season. Courtney with the tip. Point Penn State.
Well, you can see Stanford is having a lot of trouble. Some of these sets are low, or at least the hitter is late. And the hitter really doesn't have a chance to attack. So what choice, where else are they going to go but tip it over the block? Stanford can't come up with those. They've had a number of opportunities.
The kill for Moretta Lutz. That's her 3rd. Had a terrific fall camp and then had an ankle sprain early in the year. That had her limited in the first matchup with Penn State. And has continued to progress as the season has moved on. Washington with a kill for the freshman.
Who was another middle. Lutz for Stanford, not playing in that first matchup, really not effective. And on the other side, Haley Washington with an injury, not playing. Of course, Penn State's changed their lineup since she came back in. And on quite a win streak now.
To the corner for Howard. Gets the kill as Stanford pulls within 1. Lutz goes out. Ajanaku returns for Stanford.
Watch this coming right at us. A nice vision by Howard to see the open court, aim more for the corner over that middle blocker.
Hancock. Grant sliding behind, and the block was there for Stanford, and the Cardinals showing some emotion as they draw even.
And this was a move that Brittany Howard had trouble with last week against some of the hitters, some of the slide hitters for Florida in that regional final. Much better move by her today. Oh, good read by Ajanaku to be ready for that left-handed attack of Hancock.
Bocather able to keep it alive. Back row, Burgess trying to get her timing down, and now a chance for Penn State. Grant with the slide. Burgess got to it. Bocather. Right at Gonzalez. Inky with the set.
Remember, Stanford was saying yesterday, that's a part of their system now. They want their middles to set some of those plays that the setter makes the first contact on.
Franti misfired, and Stanford has the lead. Kelsey Humphreys back to serve. Second generation Cardinal. Her mom Wendy was an All-American setter at Stanford as Franti comes right back and gets the kill.
Penn State cooling off considerably, hitting almost 400 in that first set. Barely over 100 in this one. Some extra hitting errors and getting blocked once or twice.
Here comes Hancock again, and the service error. So far in this set, just 1 point and 2 service errors for Micah.
And the game is so young still. She'll certainly get another turn at the service line. Only 9-8 until they rotate around to her position again.
Off the block and out, and the kill. We should point out, by the way, that this isn't unusual for Hancock, who has often saved her best serves for late. She had 6 service errors in that regional final win against Wisconsin, and a couple of key aces, key serves late in that match. to close out the Badgers in a rematch of last year's national championship.
And remember, in that national championship game, she started slow but finished off both the third and the final, the fourth set. Big at the service line to pull her team ahead after being down by a couple versus Wisconsin.
Trying to figure out right now who is serving for Penn State. And the sub Kendall Pierce will come on for Franti. Ajanaku is still up front for Stanford. Howard gets the kill, point Stanford.
Well, clearly Howard is looking and seeing the shift. Penn State's middle back going to her right, leaving extra space cross court. She's gotten 2 kills at that now. Penn State probably got to switch it up.
Hancock to Courtney for the kill. Point Penn State. Certainly part of the game plan early. Not only to feed Courtney, who gets another kill, her 9th, but they've been serving to the libero, which you don't see very often. She's usually a pretty good passer, and that one not even close to the court for Grant.
Yeah, I know part of Penn State's game plan is they wanted to challenge the libero. Normally you don't do that, but they saw something in Kyle Gilbert's passing that made them want to at least test her.
Hancock to Courtney. Back to Megan. Good defense from Stanford.
That's a nice set.
Sliding get from Penn State. Courtney trying to get it down, does not. And the Cardinal now up a couple.
Sure like how Pierce was able to come up with that corner swing from Burgess. Nicely executed by Penn State.
Hancock's back set to Whitney, the tip. Burgess missed it long. Seven hitting errors now for Stanford, 5 for Penn State in the match. This is Lacey Fuller, their defensive specialist, senior out of San Diego. Lutz back in, and they feed her right away.
Yeah, that's a staple for Penn State, is having those experienced smaller players to play ball control in the backcourt, control the serves of Stanford like that, and control their attacks, and even come up with hitter coverage. Fuller almost comes up with that one, where the opposing team blocks it quickly to your floor and you keep it alive.
Here's Lutz with a couple in a row, or check that Burgess had that block. Stanford trying to draw even after Penn State rocked him a bit in the opening set. And the Cardinal trying to right themselves. They've got the lead here, 15-11 in set number 2 of the national semis.
Save up to 40% on all your tobacco needs at Tobacco Barn. Pay no state or city sales tax. Tobacco Barn has a complete line of e-cigs. Get a vapor e-cig and charger for just $19.95 at Tobacco Barn. Nogales Highway, just south of Valencia.
Spoil her. Let her know that she is the center of your universe. Remind her that you would buy her off Craigslist all over again. Give her what she deserves. The right car insurance for the right price. Tell her she'll be yours forever. Safe Auto. Call, click, and enjoy the road ahead.
Save up to 40% at Tobacco Barn. How? First, our prices are lower. Second, being on the Indian Reservation, Tobacco Barn does not have to charge state tax, which is $20 on a sleeve of 10. Then, Tobacco Barn does not charge local sales tax. Do the math. Then come to Tobacco Barn.
A few.
For Stanford, their road here to Oklahoma City included a win over Florida, the sweep of the 8th seed in the region final. And they are back here once again. They tied for the NCAA record for championships. They have the most postseason wins, the most trips to the semifinals, and trying to get back to the finals for the 15th time. They are used to winning championships at Stanford, but the last one was 10 years ago, and trying to break through this season. For all these current players, this is their first trip here to the national semis. The mass stats with your pass percentage there, Karch, 59% to 45 so far, the advantage for Penn State.
Yeah, and what that means is how well is the opponent, or how well is each team controlling the serve of the team across the net. A number 60 or better is good, and Stanford at an unusually low 45% right now.
Ooh. Kept alive by the Cardinal.
Nice by Bokather.
Washington trying to put it away, can't. Bug to Lutz, got it. That was a 2-point swing right there. Bokather saved one, and then Lutz got it.
Really like how Bokather stays with this. It comes off Lutz's head, and that is all right. You can play the ball with any part of your body, and then in transition, Lutz becomes available. And we talked about that big window she has. You can set her high, you can set her low. She does lots of smart things with it.
Stanford gives one back with the service error. Franti checks back in for Penn State, and it's Pierce on to serve. Courtney is now out. Bug takes it out of the net to Lutz, right back to Lutz. She's not going to lose many of those battles at 6'8".
No, she is not going to lose many of those, and she doesn't even need to get off the ground. Watch here, she's barely off, but she's smart enough to know there's nobody back in that left corner as she looks across the net.
Courtney with a tough pass. Hancock got to it. Bug played it over instead of setting up a teammate, and Franti gets the kill. So there's a 2-point swing back to Penn State.
You are right. Impatient play by Bug. I love the hustle Hancock had to keep this ball alive, and Maddie Bug's got to make sure her team uses all 3 contacts. Not going to fool a Penn State team with that kind of shot.
Howard sneaking from behind for the kill. Well, the Women's Volleyball Championship will continue with the final match Saturday night, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN2. For more information, visit NCAA.com, your home for all 89 NCAA championships. Stanford by 5, make it 6 with the ace.
You can see Penn State receiving serve with only 2 players right now, Gonzalez and Courtney, and they had trouble communicating on that serve in the seam between them.
And a timeout call by Russ Rose and Penn State. There are your first finalists, the BYU Cougars, riding a 12-match win streak. The last 4 of those were against seeded teams. That is the best run for an unseeded team in the history of the tournament, as they look on and they await the winner of our second semifinal, and we'll be back with more right after this.
So many gifts to buy at so many stores. Too bad some cashback cards only let you earn bonus cashback at a few places. Then those categories change every few months. Sometimes it's drugstores, then it's hardware stores. Nothing says happy holidays like a shovel. Fortunately, there's the Quicksilver card from Capital One. With Quicksilver, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase every day. 'Tis the season to ask, what's in your wallet?
Lowe's presents how to install a new washing machine with one finger.
Maybe a little more that way.
Nice.
Get 10% off major appliances $3.99 or more at Lowe's.
This holiday season, Subway is celebrating you.
Customer appreciation is back.
Enjoy 2 favorites for $2 each. The 6-inch meatball marinara and the cold cut combo.
All that for just $2?
Yup, it's our way of saying thanks.
Subway, eat fresh.
It was Penn State in the first. Now it's Stanford so far in the second. Best 3 of 5 to win the match. The winner to face BYU for the national championship on Saturday. Humphreys serving. Hancock to Franti. Off the block and out. Point Penn State.
We saw this right from the start, and Penn State still sticking with us, hitting the high line off the 2 right side blockers for Stanford. Bo Cather when she's at the net, or Maddie Bugg.
Here comes Hancock again. That is her 3rd service error already of this set. They've scored just the 1 point when she's been back there.
Yep, she was much more effective in that first one. They start her at the service line so that they get a very good chance of getting her 3 service turns, but this game won't get her to a 4th, not unless they come way back and make it go deep into overtime.
Bo Cather serving. Tipped by Whitney now. Ajanaku sliding behind. We haven't seen that in a while, and Inky right on cue. 4 points from evening up the match.
Much better play by Stanford that time. Another set where the Penn State hitter was late and had to tip. Stanford ready for it. Bo Cather coming up to keep the play alive.
Another timeout. National team member Krista Harmato, and Penn State grad is now with Holly.
Well, Krista Harmato Dietzen was a very fabulous middle blocker for Penn State. She really got things started with their national champions, but now she's holding the World Championship trophy. How was it for you and Team USA to win that in October?
Oh, phenomenal. You know, it was a memory that we'll cherish for a lifetime. I think it just just speaks volumes for the program and everything that we're about, and I think that it has given us a level of confidence going forward, especially into a big year with World Cup and you know, trying to qualify for the Rio Olympics.
It's so exciting, but you know, you got your start here at Penn State. What have you been thinking? You were a middle blocker. We're seeing some of the best middle blockers I've ever seen tonight. Lutz, Inky Ajanaku, BYU's Jennifer Hampson. What is your impression?
Oh, they're phenomenal. I've enjoyed watching them all night. You know, just a wonderful display of athleticism, and I love watching them block. You know, they're getting over and pressing low, and I think, you know, Haley and Inky, they're the future of USA Volleyball, and, you know, as well as all these other great middle blockers. So it's really fun to see that display out there.
All right, former Penn Stater and national team member Krista Harmato Dietzen.
Thank you, Holly. And that World Championship, the first for the U.S. women, coached by our very own Karch Karai, and
yeah,
now number 1 in the world, right, as you head into the year before the Olympics.
Took back over the number 1 rank. And there's ranking, and there's Krista. She was during that interview, and there's Faluka Akinranawo, another, of course, veteran of playing in national semifinals and finals for the NCAA level. But Krista was holding the World Championship trophy we won in Italy in October.
First time for Team USA. Penn State gets the kill. We didn't catch the photo of you carching, which went viral for a while. Your celebration after that championship.
Yeah, a little excited. Yeah. You win one of those every 62 years. You gotta let it rip a little.
Of course, Harmato made a name for herself initially here at Penn State. She was a member of their 2007 and 2008 national championship teams. Those were the first 2 of 4 in a row. The 4-peat for Penn State. There's great teams with her and Nicole Fawcett, and then Fawcett, and then later on, of course, the class right behind them, Megan Hodge and Alicia Glass.
All of whom have gone on to play roles for Team USA, and boy, did I like that move, that blocking move by Megan Courtney. And they get another one, 2 in a row on a nearly unstoppable. Even the opposing coach, Russ Rose, says you can't do anything about it, but Penn State twice in a row does something emphatic versus Ajanaku at the net.
This one will spin and stay in, so now it's John Dunning's turn to call the timeout. Well, Penn State makes things a little interesting. Well, Capital One Bowl Mania kicks off on ESPN Saturday for you, and it'll all start at 11 a.m. Nevada UL Lafayette in the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl, Utah State and UTEP in the Gildan New Mexico Bowl, and then Utah Colorado State in the Royal Purple Las Vegas Bowl. It's Capital One Bowl week beginning Saturday on ESPN at 11 a.m. and that last game 3:30 on ABC. Getting into that time of year once again, the inaugural season for the college football playoff with Florida State, Oregon, and Ohio State, Alabama. Who you like to move on to play in the championship?
Oh boy, Alabama's looking pretty tough.
They are.
And Oregon too.
I think those two.
I think a lot of people would like to see them play.
I think that might be the call for the national championship.
Now the thing we're going to have to ask Krista later is, you know, she's wearing red. Her team, Penn State's playing Stanford.
I thought I saw the U.S. volleyball logo on her chest.
Right.
I'll give her the benefit of the doubt.
I think she has some blue USA gear.
She might be back.
And if she doesn't, we're going to have to get her some. Great of her to come out. There's also our libero, Kayla Banworth, is here, and they've been signing autographs in the midst of this great fan experience and coaching convention that all builds around the NCAA, the semis, and the finals.
And in our first match tonight, Holly spoke with Carrie Walsh-Jennings from the Stanford side, won national championships with the Cardinal.
What a nice read by Micah Hancock on that play. She knew, she's a setter. She knew how setters want to operate. She's a setter. She knows how setters want to operate, and she was all over that from Bug. Then Bug tried to put it over her head and makes the mistake trying to thread the needle.
It is 4 in a row here for Penn State. Bug to Ajanaku, make it 5 straight for the Nittany Lions.
Wow, this is really nicely executed too. Watch how Courtney pulls way in to help out on the block because there's nobody going behind the setter.
What a response from Penn State, and now John Dunning has to burn his final timeout. And it is a 2-point set. So the nice defense from Micah Hancock, who is back home in Oklahoma for more. Here's Holly.
Well, that's right. Micah is a senior for Penn State, and she is wrapping up her career playing in front of her home fans. Edmond, Oklahoma is just 20 minutes away. So she had the whole team over to her house, and they got to look at her trophy wall, all of the fun pictures. She said she did take a little ribbing for some of the pictures. She was a little embarrassed, but it was so fun for her to share that part of her life with her teammates. She's had great support from her mom and her dad. Her mom is actually driving up to Penn State, going to empty out her apartment because she graduated in December. Actually, today was graduation for Penn State, so she'll be headed home to Oklahoma.
Well, her mom, Kelly, her sister, Kelsey, also joining in on the fun.
And remember, her plan was not to go to Penn State.
Yeah, Tulsa.
She was going to go to Tulsa, and then the coach left there, and all of a sudden she was thinking, do I still want to play there? Russ Rose at the last second, a great late recruit for Penn State. And boy, you're not going to miss, they're going to miss Micah Hancock a lot, but she's had them. They were in the semis 2 years ago, and she had the same ankle injury that Lauren Carlini had last weekend, or they might have been in another final winning last year. So Hancock could finish if they could win this and go on to win on Saturday with 2 titles of her own.
They have been down by as many as 6 in the set, and right here they can pull to within 1. Howard tries to end the rally. It's Hancock to Courtney off the block. Burgess can't keep it up. 6 in a row for the Nittany Lions.
And a defensive adjustment by Penn State to play for the corner swing of Brittany Howard, coming up with it so that they could get the transition offense going.
Bug back to Howard, and that will end the rally. Stanford 3 points from evening up the match. Howard serving. The pass to Hancock. They go back to Courtney, who terminates.
There they go again, attacking the high line, going over or around the right side blockers for Stanford, Bug and Bo Catholic.
11 kills now for Courtney.
Nice up.
Dug up by Pierce. Here comes Courtney again. Rolls it over the top for her 12th kill. And it is even at 22.
And it all started with Kendall Pierce, number 3 in blue on your screen. Watch her move over and play. First she started left to play in the corner, then went back to the middle of the court. Courtney, of course, with a smart roll shot to cause trouble.
At one point, it was 21-14. Stanford, they get it down, back up by 1.
You could see the defense for Penn State playing pretty deep, and nobody able to react to that deflection. Now Lutz comes to the net. Let's see if Penn State can make her move.
Bug able to slow it down, and Lutz with the kill. Set point Cardinal. They've got a couple of them.
She hits those sharp angles. Most middle hitters wouldn't even try to hit a ball like that. But at 6'8", she can hit it right off that left side blocker's hand.
Hancock looking back to Courtney. Batted back over by Bug. Again, it's Courtney. Tools the block. They save a set point, and now here comes another one.
And of course, when the ball's on your side of the net, you have an advantage. So Stanford has a better chance to score the winning set point on this play than the previous one because they get to run their offense.
They get a good pass. Bug doesn't have to move for Burgess, who gets the kill. Able to stay in system, and despite losing hold of a 7-point lead in that set, they finish it off 25-23. And we are all even in the national semifinals. And let's get down to Holly.
Well, Coach, set 1 got out to a little bit of an easy start for you, but what started to change in set 2 that they jumped out to a lead?
Well, we missed 5 serves in the second game, and you know, you live and die by the sword. You know, Mikey came out, served well in the first game, and in the second game she was 0 for 3. So, you know, that's. But we competed hard. We got ourselves a couple of opportunities there. I'm more concerned about the 2 balls that we got aced on than the missed serves.
You have done a nice job at times on Inky Ajanaku and their big middle, Moretta Lutz. What do you want to do a little differently in this next set?
Well, I mean, I just think we need to keep the ball in play. You know, if you give away 6 points on serve pass, it's pretty tough to beat a good team like Stanford.
All down to serving, huh, Coach?
There you go. Thanks.
Thanks.
Even in the semifinals at 1 set apiece after the break. We'll be back to recap our first semifinal. BYU is in the championship.
Success doesn't just happen. It takes work. At Northwestern Mutual, we'll help you build a financial plan and stick with it, doing the little things that can lead to big rewards.
Classique, Le Mal, Fragrances by Jean-Paul Gaultier.
Give the gift of Gaultier with this distinctive Le Mal holiday gift set. Available at Macy's, your fragrance destination.
Pizza Hut just made their biggest menu change ever, so we're in Italy to get the opinions of the experts.
So, Argentina, you ready to change pizza?
No,
They've redefined pizza with 6 bold sauces and 10 new crust flavors.
This no pizza.
It's pretty cool that there are over 20 new ingredients, right, Frank?
Too many.
Oh, do you like the salted pretzel crust?
These are good.
I know.
Oh. Get a pair of pizzas, a new one or an old favorite, for $6.99 each. The Flavor of Now menu. Get it at pizzahut.com.
Jared, the Galleria of Jewelry, presents a commercial for women only. This is Levion Chocolate Diamond Jewelry. Levion, masters of jewelry design for centuries, is the only company on earth to make jewelry with chocolate diamonds. And Jared is the only place you'll find these limited edition rings. And an amazing Levion selection you won't find anywhere else. Levion, that's why he went to Jared.
This is the HP X360. It has some pretty crazy moves. And these are some of the biggest Vine, Instagram, and YouTube stars on the web. Bring them all together with one of the hottest artists in the world, and you create a music video like never before. Now that's how you bend the rules. Introducing the next generation HP X360.
The Cougars of BYU are playing for a national championship Saturday night for the first time in school history. As their dream season continues, they are the first unseeded team in 34 years to advance to the final. Texas was the 4th seeded team in a row that they have beaten. And so it's BYU on Saturday night. Will they be facing Stanford or Penn State? We are all even at 1 apiece in our second semifinal. Beth Mullins along with Kurtz Karai. What a night for BYU. They win it in 4. They upset Texas. And the dream season continues. They'll now have a chance to win their first title.
And 2 key hitters for BYU. Jen Hampson, who is also an All-American basketball player, drafted for the WNBA. She was so big, and that big block that we talked about before BYU even played gave Texas fits. But Hampson was huge, and Alexa Gray out on the left side for BYU.
Big night for the Cougars as we revisit. That block was so critical against Texas, and Hampson came up big alongside Gray.
It sure was. And for Alexa Gray and Jen Hampson, the team combined for 17 stuff blocks, which is higher even than their average. And the 2 combined for 41 kills out of 92 attempts. Hit between them over 300. That's always a good number, and Texas just could not stop those 2 players.
So BYU enjoying the evening. They are into the championship. Will it be Stanford or Penn State? Those 2 sides still have business to take care of, even in the second semifinal. Back after this.
He made his mark on television and in film, but his greatest impact happened off the stage. When Danny Thomas founded St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, he proved how powerful giving back can be. This holiday, during the Mazda Drive for Good event, take a test drive and we'll pledge an hour of our time serving the community. Buy any new Mazda, and we'll donate $150 to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital or these charities. Because giving back is the Mazda way.
No chance on the back end as that ball goes sailing. Annie, don't hurt him. Big block of the net.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins. Not the shiny, nail-biting kind. These are the last a lifetime kind.
Cox has doubled the speed of our internet.
So we will stream with abandon.
We will shop online for colorful duct tape while streaming True Blood on HBO Go and watching random tutorials.
Watch the kale, please.
We will stream the game. No, we will stream the games.
We will watch a bunch of videos about peregrine falcons because they are the fastest animals alive.
We are
Cox customers.
And we are now
twice as fast.
We are doubling internet speeds. Learn more today at cox.com/internet.
Wow, what's this?
It's Toyotathon. People get excited.
Get a 24-month lease and a Corolla for just $139 per month with Toyota Care, our no-cost service plan for 2 years or 25,000 miles. Or get 0% APR for 60 months on a Corolla.
Okay. Oh, whoopsies.
Toyota, let's go places.
Even in the semis, Penn State and Stanford, and Holly Rowe now has John Dunning.
Well, Coach Dunning, what was going through your mind when your team got out to that slow start in the first set?
Stuff happens. I don't know what else is to say but that. I don't think it was nerves. I think the other team made some good plays. I was happy that we fought back, but I don't think we played very well in the first game. But that's usually because somebody else is pretty darn good and they're doing it to you.
Well, in the second set, you found your rhythm. You started to play a little bit better. What can you build off of from there?
You know, it always starts with ball control. I think we passed really well. I think they didn't pass very well for a while. We got the lead, and then we got stuck in a rotation. Made it pretty exciting. I'm really happy my team was tough at the end and didn't give it away when we really had a chance to.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
You bet. Thanks.
Megan Courtney has been leading the way so far for Penn State today. 13 kills. She's hitting over 400.
Yep. High above her season average of 281. Very effective so far and taking big cuts. They like that matchup with her against Moretta Lutz, who's not able to close to the outside blocker. Meanwhile, Moretta Lutz across the net. She may not be blocking a lot, but she sure is putting the ball away offensively. Got a big window for Stanford. It's easy to get her the ball and easy for her to notch the kills. Even if it gets set low, she can adjust, but when she gets set high, she goes up and over the block.
Lutz with 7 kills. She's hitting .545. Inky Ajanaku, though, right now, 6 kills, but 5 errors for the first team All-American. As we head to the third, it is now best 2 out of 3 to face BYU in Saturday's championship match. Both of these clubs have 6 NCAA titles, so the winner will have a chance to snap the tie and become the winningest program in history in terms of championships. They'll have a chance to do that on Saturday.
You got to think that Ajanaku's going to come alive, hitting only .077 tonight, and on the season, she's almost at .450.
Penn State in blue, Stanford in white. Franti tools the block, point Penn State. The freshman now into double figures with 10 kills. Haley Washington, the other freshman, has been kind of quiet so far. 2 kills on just 9 attempts.
And interesting that Stanford has changed its starting lineup, because normally they want Ajanaku in at left front, get her more offensive attempts. But because she's been a little ineffective on offense, she's not on the floor right now. She will be soon, but they changed the matchup.
Point Penn State.
Meanwhile, Hancock was able to get a ball in at the service line after missing her last 3 in that second set.
There's a block for Penn State, and that's good for the Nittany Lions because that gets Hancock another serve.
Yep, remember she came out of the chute after they sided out. That is, receive serve and put it away. She scored 4 more, led them to a 5-0 lead right at the start of the match. Looking to do that here at the start of the third.
That's her 4th service error. 3-1 Penn State.
For Penn State, there were not only lots of service errors in the second set, but the serving was easier when it did go in. Stanford passing at a very high percentage. 70% of the time they had the pass that they wanted.
Through the block from Ayanna Whitney, the junior out of Norwood, New Jersey. Second-team All-American. She has been leading them in the postseason with just over 3 kills per set. And the ace for the Nittany Lions.
And remember, Ali Franti had some success. Remember, she was the one who landed that serve deep into the corner for the ace. She's trying to thread the needle down the line and hit Brittany Howard, number 16, make her have to receive the serve, make the first contact before she goes to attack at the net.
We asked Russ Rose about the freshman. He's got 2 in the lineup. He said, you know what, they're young, they've never been here before, but they navigated a strong conference schedule. They've played against some good opponents in the NCAA tournament, and we can't overstate the importance of the fact that these 2 teams played all year in the top 2 conferences in the country, the 2 toughest. That has steeled both of them, and certainly the youngsters, to be on this grand stage tonight.
Yeah, in those 2 conferences, the Big Ten, the Pac-12, there are just no days off. You're going to lose even to the worst team if you don't bring your A game. And that's a great and quick lesson that freshmen have to learn to be ready night after night.
Stanford was the Pac-12 champs. Penn State, even though they beat Wisconsin during the regular season, the Badgers were the regular season champs this year. And then Penn State beat Wisconsin in the region final to get here. The back set to Whitney, the tip kept up by Howard and then jumped on by Whitney.
Well, Stanford doesn't come up with a point, but you gotta love the effort, especially by Maddie Bugg, hustling off the side to keep it alive. And then they even almost get a hand under that 4th attack by Penn State. It's important to send a signal both to your own team and to the other team, just like Hancock does there, that no ball is going to hit the floor without somebody getting after it.
Back set to Bo Cather. That one had some spin on it. Point Stanford.
Watch Hancock get that one hand, and all you need to do is just get the ball up 2 or 3 feet in the air. Somebody will get it up and over. You may not get a swing out of it, but I like the hustle.
Hancock looking to Courtney. Bo Cather got a wing on it.
Nice up by Gonzalez.
Whitney takes a run at it and misses it long. Point Stanford. Bo Cather serving with Ajanaku now up front. Lutz is out. Hancock sets the middle. Washington, it bounces all the way back across the net. The tip goes outside the antenna. Point Stanford.
Some very interesting quick plays here, and Penn State just not able to control those and get themselves a swing.
Cardinal on top, 7-6 here in the 3rd. Hancock a long way to go. Too tight at the net for Courtney, and then that's easy work for Bugg.
Boy, that's nice eye work by those blockers of Stanford. Most blockers you watch would have jumped, but they're looking at the hitter. See how they stopped and they didn't jump? That's good eye work. And they earn themselves the point and force Penn State into a timeout.
8-6 Stanford. The decision making by the veteran Cardinal blockers. They stay on their feet and get the kill.
This holiday holiday season, it's customer appreciation at Subway. We're saying thanks with 2 of your favorite 6-inch sandwiches for $2 each. The meatball marinara and the cold cut combo. Join our customer appreciation celebration today. Subway, eat fresh.
All right, so this Tylenol arthritis lasts 8 hours, but Aleve can last 12 hours. And Aleve is proven to work better on pain than Tylenol arthritis. So why am I still thinking about this? How are you?
Aleve, proven better on pain.
Don't settle for 4G LTE coverage that's smaller or less reliable, when only one network is America's largest and most reliable 4G LTE network, Verizon. With XLTE, our 4G LTE bandwidth has doubled in over 400 cities. And now, save without settling. Get 2 lines with 10 gigabytes of data for just $110. Or 4 lines for just $140. And get a $150 bill credit for each smartphone you switch. Only on Verizon.
For more great social media and photos live from the tournament, go to espnw.com/NCAA volleyball. That was Stanford visiting Inky's house in Tulsa earlier this week before making the drive over to Oklahoma City. Homecoming for Ajanaku, played for the Bishop Kelly Comets in high school. And then when Penn State arrived here and met with the media, some of the behind-the-scenes snapshots of them. And the ESPNW volleyball storylines, the Olmsted Stash will be moving on to the championship match. The homecoming for Ajanaku, and Texas fully focused, but it was not enough in our first national semifinal. Texas eliminated by unseeded BYU. The Cougars looking for their first national championship on Saturday night. Lacey Fuller comes on to serve. Penn State now down 1. It's Fuller and Gonzalez, the defensive specialist and the libero, that have been a critical element to Penn State's success. Coming in here winners of 18 matches in a row. Ajanaku on the overpass, and Inky with her first kill of the set.
Watch how high she gets. Most middles are not going to be able to touch this boom boom play, but she's ready, and that's a good choice by her because nobody can put up a block in front of her. Plays too fast.
Inky was introduced to volleyball as Washington gets the kill by her older sister, who actually used to play with Micah Hancock and play against her.
And that's
play by Washington.
Bread and butter for Haley Washington. Unlike that kind of play, you see how Inky Ajanaku jumped off 2 feet and stayed in front of the setter. She's good both jumping off 2 feet and jumping off 1. Haley Washington, a little younger, she's just a freshman, is much more specialized in that she's good off the 1 foot. She's going to have to develop that other part of her game as time goes on.
Ajanaku is now out. Lutz back in at 6'8" in the middle. Courtney tried to tip it over Lutz. Lutz now with the set to Burgess. Washington slowed down by the tips. Long back set to Bocather. Hancock to Franti. Point Penn State.
They are having a ton of success attacking over Maddie Bug, or in that seam between Bug and Lutz. They're not hitting a lot of sharp cross court because they know Lutz is going to be arriving late and getting her hands in the way. So they're hitting much more line.
Burgess right at Fuller. Back to Franti. Into the block. Lutz was there, and then Lutz jumps on it. And a smile for her teammates. That one was too easy.
Yep, and it was too easy for Franti. She just didn't keep the ball on her side of the net.
Maddie Bug with a tough serve. Hancock a long way to go. And that gets Stanford the free ball. Lutz couldn't finish. She's there to block, and it goes right off the head of Franti. Point Stanford.
Bocather, the end blocker for Stanford. You see how she swung her arms. Both blockers swinging their arms to try to jump higher. First time that end blocker's had success, and so what does Micah Hancock do? Mixes it up and doesn't hit it hard, but Does the rainbow shot into the corner, earns herself her second turn at the service line in this second set, in this third set.
Got them out to a 3-0 lead the first time she was back there. Bug looking to Burgess. Had to go to the left hand to keep it alive. Bug to Lutz. Pushes it over. Slowed down by Grant that time, and a chance for Franti. Got it. Nice play by Grant, who was 1v1 with Lutz and kept it alive.
Yep, good choice. I like it whenever you have more contacts on your side, the patience to just say, you know what, I'm going to slow the play down, pass it on my side, give ourselves a chance to make the second contact and then the swing.
Bug looking to Burgess, got it through the block. Using Lutz as the decoy.
And that's the most assertive swing that I have seen Jordan Burgess take tonight. She started out pretty tentatively, but that fast set leaves space between blockers. She attacked it with good vision.
Also ends the serve for Hancock, and then Grant straight down through the floor.
Yeah, Grant made it look like she was going to attack. Watch how she was going to attack to about 10 feet left, and then at the last second veers off, 1 foot, wide open net.
First team All-American in the middle. You talk about some big shoes to fill. How about following Ariel Wilson, and then prior to that, Krista Harmato in the middle for Penn State on all those championship teams as Bocather goes down the line.
Some really crisp offense displayed by both teams right now, and it starts with controlling the other team's serve, putting the ball right on the setter's head, and they get to run every option. So it's up to these teams to serve a little tougher. That's not a tough serve.
And as a result, Penn State gets the point. Courtney now with 15 kills.
Yep, this is what we would call a side-out battle, even though there's not really a side-out in volleyball anymore. Every serve scores a point, but when teams pass well and take that first, second, third contact, put it away, there's another side-out. In fact, we call those first ball side-outs, FBSOs. Pass, set, put it away. Pass, set, kill. And here's another one. That's about 5 or 6 straight by these two teams. Good execution on offense.
Howard with her 7th kill. Good balance again tonight from Stanford's attack. Washington behind, dug up by Burgess. Howard with a swing. Gonzalez was there. Courtney cross court, and Howard couldn't contain it. Fuller serving. Gilbert with the pass. Bug behind her head.
What a nice read by Fuller.
And Washington missed it.
Maddie Bug didn't fool her for a second. She was all over that shot. Fuller in the backcourt waiting for the attack on 2.
Hancock, Washington gets another shot at it. Gilbert is there. Hancock tried on 2. That looked like it might have been going out. Washington turned back by Inky. Kept up by Gonzalez. Courtney looking for a touch, doesn't get it.
Both liberos doing a really nice job in the backcourt, keeping the ball in the air for their teams.
Stanford up 3. Courtney with a big swing. 1 shy of her season high now with 17 kills.
See how she's attacking that space between the antenna, which if the ball hits it, it's out of bounds, and which would be an automatic point for the other team, between the antenna and the end blocker. Penn State's been doing that a lot this match. Stanford probably has to think about getting that end blocker, having her move out a little wider, shut that down.
Bug looking for Burgess over the top of the double block. The freshman Franti gets a swing, and she finishes. How about your passing percentage here?
Both teams, this is for the match, but in this set alone, that's 64 for Penn State, 61 for Stanford. What that means is how often are we passing the ball in a position to run our offense? Let's see this, where this pass goes. That's not a good pass. And you could see the result was the setter couldn't put her hands on the ball. But both teams passing at a very high level this set.
Stanford able to keep it alive, and Howard gets the kill as she dropped it over short.
And that would be a freshman error. Haley Washington, instead of moving away and letting the backcourt players take it, watch Washington right here. She's going to step toward the ball and then stops. And the last thing you want to do is move toward it and then pull away. Just want to clear out space and give your backcourt DS's, defensive specialists, the ability to play the ball.
Franti tries the tip, and it gets off the hands of Lutz. Couldn't stay up quite long enough. Dominique Gonzalez, the libero who Russ Rose says he wouldn't trade for anybody in the country. Member of their national championship team last year. Burgess had the solo block, and it's brought up by Fuller. Bug, the back set, Bo Cather. Here's Grant coming around.
Boy, I sure like the transition work coming all the way around the court from block to offense by Nia Grant.
Timeout call by Stanford, even at 18 in the third set in the semis.
At GMC, one incredible idea leads to another. And now more than ever, isn't it the thought that counts? Like our latest thinking, built-in 4G LTE Wi-Fi available on most 2015 GMC models. Now current lessees celebrate the holidays by switching to GMC and lease this 2015 Terrain for around $195 per month with only $195 due at signing.
They say good things come in threes, like Famous Dave's 3-course combo. It's a 3-course meal that's a 3-course deal. Pick one of your meaty barbecue favorites: ribs, chicken, Texas beef brisket, Georgia chopped pork, or a hearty sandwich, plus all the fixins, plus a starter, plus dessert. But hurry, a deal with this many pluses won't last long.
Hurry on over to Famous Dave's, because our 3-course combo is too good to last.
Only a few will ever be called champions. Fewer still will repeat. A 6th time in 8 years, dynasty. We are Penn State, and this is our time again.
For the Nittany Lions, trying to go back-to-back and win the national championship for the 7th time in school history. It has been a dynasty in recent years, and that win over Wisconsin, the only time they were pushed to a 4th set, that was in the region final as they knocked off the regular season Big Ten champs. Their 2nd win of the season against the Badgers to get here. And what a job over the last 8 years in the NCAA tournament. Penn State is 40-2. They are trying for their 6th title in 8 seasons, and now they are up a point here in the 3rd.
Nia Grant again with a wonderful transition move. First she comes down off the block, gets a good touch to her left, then comes back around the setter behind to make the attack for the kill.
Short serve causes problems for Penn State. Hancock back across on 2. And now another timeout. A couple of quick ones from John Dunning. Your repeat champions over the history of this tournament: Hawaii Pacific, UCLA early on, then Stanford. They were the team of the 90s, going back-to-back in 96 and 97. USC did it with those great teams in 2002 and 2003. And then Penn State, the 4-peat when they won 4 straight. 07, 08, 09, and 10. That included a couple of undefeated seasons. That included NCAA records, a 109-match win streak, a 94-match home win streak, and they had a class that did not lose a match in the NCAA tournament. They went 26-0 in those 4 years. And the dynasty for Russ Rose, they want to keep it going. They have the lead here over Stanford in the 3rd.
Yeah, so we've seen it several times. Watch how Nia Grant, she's the middle blocker. We'll run the play here. She's the middle blocker, but she's going to go to her left here and then come down off the block and transition, get beyond that 3-meter line. Lots of people call it the 10-foot line, but officially it's 3-meter. So watch her get space behind. I like how she works to get available, and Hancock can get her the ball. That spreads the defense out a lot. That's 2 straight times she's been able to hurt Stanford with that fast transition where she might be moving to her left and coming behind.
How do you avoid trying to hit over the 6'8" Lutz? Well, you beat her to the spot and you hit through her or around her.
That's what they want to do, spread it out, set to one sideline or the other. The last thing you want to do is run it right at her in the middle of the court.
Bug on 2, couldn't put it away. Maddie to set Burgess. Long way to go for Hancock, and called for the double contact for the 3-time All-American. To 25, got to win by 2. Franti, nice. Terrific defense by Gilbert, and they couldn't keep it up out of the net.
It was a great move and great up by Gilbert, but she has to keep that ball off the net. Remember, her setter is in the back court. She's going to have to run about 20 feet to go play that ball. Gilbert would be much better passing it straight up in the air, and now they face a 3rd service turn for Hancock. But she has ended 2 of her 3 service turns with serves into the net in this set.
Got the 3 points on the first set, but that ended in the error, and now this one ends in the error. Grant uncontested ricochets off the noggin of Burgess.
So Grant's going to try to make it look like she's coming there, and then she comes, so she heads, kind of veers left and breaks off right, and that also is giving Lutz problems and opening up space. Lutz is going to need a little more help from her left side blocker on a quick play like that from Grant.
But with the pass to Bug, Bo Cather tools the block, points Stanford, and here comes Ajanaku back in, and Lutz will go out.
And now you have a more mobile blocker coming in, middle blocker and Ajanaku, who hasn't had, to this point, as much success offensively.
8 kills, 5 errors for Inky. Hancock able to keep it out of the net to Courtney. Chance for Stanford. Looking to tie it up. Bo Cather, and she's denied. Courtney and Grant stand tall.
Stanford got the play it wanted with the touch, and even got the set it wanted from their system that they now use of having the middle blockers set the ball that's dug by the setter. Oh, what a nice play by Gilbert off the floor.
Pancake for Gilbert, and the termination for Howard.
Sometimes you just get a bad break on those serves that touch the net or roll over the net. What a nice reaction by Gilbert to keep it alive.
Hancock goes back outside to Courtney. She's tied her season high. Having her game of the year.
And there's still going to be space between that block out there because they're setting so fast to Megan Courtney. It's the same kind of offense that Stanford's running, and now it's 24-22, set point for Penn State.
Bug looks to Howard, tries to place it in the back. Gonzalez kept it alive. Courtney brings it across. And a net violation on Stanford. And the set will go to Penn State. Bug trying to play it across and got the tape on the follow-through. 2-1 in the match for the Nittany Lions.
Success doesn't just happen. It takes work. At Northwestern Mutual, we'll help you build a financial plan and stick with it, doing the little things that can lead to big rewards.
Musical chairs. Fun, right? Well, not when your travel rewards card makes it so hard to get a seat using your miles. That's their game. The flights you want are blacked out, or they ask for some ridiculous number of miles. Honestly, it's time to switch to the Venture card from Capital One. With Venture, use your miles on any airline, any flight, anytime, no blackout dates. And with every purchase, you'll earn unlimited double miles. From now on, no one's taking your seat away. What's in your wallet?
Hey! I guess we're gonna need a new Santa.
More people are coming to Audi than ever before. See why now is the best time. Audi will cover your first month's payment on select models at the Season of Audi sales event. Visit AudiOffers.com today.
Hey, Banks. Have a seat and let me make you uncomfortable. Up those grades, son, or the only position you'll be playing in college is sitting on me. You're still awake? Have a seat on old Mr. Bench. At least your buns will fall asleep.
Is this the one about the high school hotshot who gets benched in college?
Hey, Manti, move down.
It's a tearjerker!
This telecast is copyrighted by the NCAA for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any picture, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NCAA's consent is prohibited.
Tonight it's me and you, so let me hear you say. We gon' have a good time, we gon' have a good time, we gon' have a good time, we gon' have a good time. We can lose all our cares tonight, we can lose all our cares tonight. Yeah, we gon' have a good time, we gon' have a good time.
You're watching the NCAA Volleyball National Semifinals presented by Northwestern Mutual. We head to the fourth set. Penn State 1 set away from the championship match. Stanford will have to win the last two to advance. Micah Hancock, 45 assists, but the 5 service errors. Ajanaku has been quiet thus far. 8 kills, 5 errors. The freshman Franti with 14 kills. It's been a big night for Megan Courtney, tying her season high, 18 kills, leading everybody right now in the match. The winner will face BYU Saturday in the final. The unseeded Cougars are there for the first time. From the Penn State huddle, here's Holly.
Well, Penn State setter Micah Hancock has expended an awful lot of energy, 44 assists. She's got that powerful jump serve that we'll see right now. But in between sets just then, she was complaining of some cramping in her legs. She was trying to stretch out along the sideline. She did ask their athletic trainer for some extra liquid and a squeeze pack of the Gatorade that she quickly downed. We'll see how she goes.
Here she is serving to start it out. Burgess with the pass to Bug. And the kill, so no damage done on the Hancock serve there for Stanford.
And the other thing to note, Stanford tried an experiment in set number 3, and that was to put somebody to switch the order, to actually spin it a little and not have Inky Ajanaku on the court right at the start. They go back to their bread and butter. This is what they've been doing most of the season. She started, again, as she did in set number 1 and 2, but not in 3, at left front. Now she's in middle front, ready to try to impose her will as a middle blocker.
point for Penn State for this Cardinal program. 4 national titles in the 90s. They won again in 2001 and then in 2004, and none since. This is their first trip back to the semis in 6 years. By their own estimation, they say they are long overdue for another championship. They have a veteran team, a core group of 6 rotation players, primarily, Karch, that have been together for the last 3 years and have seen the disappointment and now want to celebrate.
Exactly. Setter Maddie Bugg said, I've been able to play with the same 3 strong passers on the court the whole time these last 3 years. So they have a system, this old school 5-1, that keeps their outside hitters on the court all the time, that gives them some real advantages in terms of knowing each other and building trust. Lots of other teams, for example, Penn State will sometimes take Allie Franti out of the backcourt. Texas took Haley Eckerman out of the backcourt. Even Alexa Gray, as effective as she was for BYU, will come out in the backcourt. Not the case for Stanford.
John Dunning has talked about all the puzzle pieces fitting together, how their experience together has helped them get out to that 33-1 record, the top seed in the tournament. They won it all in 1994. They won it all in 2004. Can they do it in 2014? Out to the early lead here in the 4th. Back to Courtney. Blocked. Chance for Moretta Lutz. She gets the kill. Point Stanford. Well, let's take you back. 1994 national championship with Wendell and Sharpley and Focal, and then in 2004, the 11 seed, the lowest seeded team to ever win the championship, with Oguna Namani and Kristen Richards and Bryn Kehoe, a freshman setter. And now you look at a BYU team that could be the first unseeded team to win a championship. They too have a freshman setter in Aloe Robbins-Hurdy, and they'll be playing on Saturday night.
A freshman setter who only started 2 matches all season. Just so happens to be the regional finals and the national semifinals, but who's counting? Pretty impressive performance by her, and a pretty bold move by Coach, National Coach of the Year, just named today, National Coach of the Year, Sean Olmstead.
Who's going to join that party? Hancock. Courtney had to try and push it away from Lutz, who was standing there at 6'8", waiting on the other side. And Stanford out in front, 7-3.
Yeah, remember how at one point we were watching Ajanaku and Bugg at the end of the second set. At the end of the second set, not block. They saw the hitter stay on the floor. Lutz is one who, she's a little younger, doesn't have as good in terms of the eye work doesn't go as well, and so sometimes when hitters don't leave the floor, she still will. She got lucky on that one and caused an error.
Barbara Lutz, and the solo stuff for Washington, and the emotion from the freshman has energized this team for the last couple of months since she returned from her injury.
Yeah, and sometimes Coach Rose will say, hey, look, you need more energy. She said, oh, I'll have to be goofier. I got to have bigger dance moves. I got to find a way. And she's so expressive when she makes a big play. Here she is lining up to set, to block out on the right side. You can see how early she made a move out there.
Yeah. And I don't know, Karch, if you would consider Penn State to ever be an underdog at this point, but certainly with the younger team, with freshmen in the lineup, you get the sense that they're thinking, hey, we can come in here and steal one from a Stanford team that on paper looks to be the better side. But of course, Russ Rose and the Penn State championships haven't been about what's on paper, it's about what's on the court.
And there are lots of fans of NCAA women's volleyball who would love to have seen these two teams meet later, to be on opposite sides of the bracket. Last year, they were even in the same regional and had to meet neither. It's in a situation where both couldn't make it to the national semifinals.
Franti gets dug up by Gilbert. Howard's tip right to Washington. Chance for Stanford. Out of the back, Burgess swooping in for the kill.
Stanford going for a fourth option. 3 front court hitters, but they also have Jordan Burgess ready to attack. And that was well executed by the setter, Maddie Bugg, who got her hitter a one-on-one situation.
Washington, as it ping-pongs around, point Stanford. Nia Grant back in front. She was strong in that third set. Nia had 4 kills. Penn State leading the match 2-1. Burgess again out of the back. Here's Franny going to get a swing on it. Looking for the corner. Doesn't find it.
That's the area that Franti's been trying to hit all night long. They want to keep it away from the tall middle blockers of Ajanaku and Lutz, and hit it instead at the right side blockers, Bugg and Bocather.
Hancock. Grant coming around the back. Misfires again. Point Stanford. Humphries. Hancock looking for Courtney out of the back. Bocather couldn't get to it. You can come underneath or around the net as long as you can hit it back on your side on the outside of the antenna.
Penn State returning the favor, the same backcourt attack out of the middle of the court. Very difficult for wing blockers to get to. And now Micah Hancock at the line. She's been an important part of the scoring for Penn State, and that one goes in. Hasn't always this evening.
Whitney gets the kill, and Hancock will get another serve.
Well, Coach Rose said yesterday he thinks she's probably contacting the ball at a higher point than any player on these two teams. And that was the case there, going almost over Inky Ajanaku, who can jump and touch around 11 feet.
Hancock gets another one in. Howard, who made the pass, gets the swing.
Nice up.
Franti trying to find the corner. Burgess keeps it up. And the kill for Howard. And you saw Hancock at the tail end of that play stretching out her leg to try and deal with the cramping that Holly Rowe was telling us about a moment ago. Saw her reaching for those toes to stretch out the leg.
And that's exactly the kind of move that can bring on some seizing of the muscles when you have to make a big explosive move forward defensively. Nice up by Burgess in the backcourt.
Hancock looking for Franti. Through the block for the kill. She's come back strong after that performance in the region final.
Sure has. Feeling back to health and attacking. Really, she's not hitting anywhere more cross court than that. You see her either hitting line or between those blockers, but they're exclusively hitting to their left. You've got to admire the assertiveness with which she's playing this game as a freshman in her first national semifinal.
Illinois High School Player of the Year and the second-rated recruit in the country behind her teammate, Haley Washington. Bug tried on 2. Now she'll go to Ajanaku, dug up by Hancock.
2 really nice defensive plays by Hancock.
Whitney. Burgess was there. Gonzalez gets to that one. Courtney put a spin on it. Back and forth we go. Another get by Gonzalez.
Wow.
Gilbert pops it over. Quick to Grant, and she missed it. Point Stanford.
I'm so impressed with the defense on both sides, especially Hancock with 2 great reads, anticipation, and then Gonzalez coming toward us on one sideline and then running to the far sideline, ready for all of those scramble plays, those ones that are unorthodox, but they make them look easy.
4th hitting error of the set for Penn State. Stanford up 3. Hancock goes to Grant behind, trickles down the net. Bug is there. Bump set from Gilbert. Off the head on the swing from Burgess. Bug looks to Burgess. Tip denied. Kept up by the Cardinal, and that one will go long. Point Penn State. Nia Grant serving. Bug to Ajanaku, stuffed by Washington.
Lots of interest by the Penn State blockers. We'd call this a double commit. 2 blockers jumping and getting 4 hands in the face of Inky Ajanaku.
Grant with a good serve. And Washington finishes. Even at 13.
And you could see people converging all over there, ready for Bug to send the ball over. Plus, they have the block. Really good reading and anticipation ability on the Penn State side of the net right now.
Stanford calls a timeout. They'll have 1 left. Well, NBA Friday kicks off with countdown at 7:30 Eastern. And then a doubleheader for you. It's the Blazers and the Spurs at 8 Eastern. Then at 10:30, Oklahoma City and the Los Angeles Lakers. NBA Friday on ESPN begins at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN and on your Watch ESPN app. That nightcap, Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant, should be a good one. How about Holly Rowe now with more on Haley Washington?
Well, she has had good moments and bad moments. The young freshman is so exuberant. But a few points ago, she had a couple of jousts at the net that were a little bit awkward. She came and sat on the bench next to her head coach, Russ Rose, and in a really funny way, he said, "Hey, could we just calm down a little bit? Could we just calm down and play with your team? Take a deep breath." She just started laughing. They have such a good chemistry back and forth in this very serious moment. A lighthearted Russ Rose knowing how to push the buttons of his very fun-loving freshman and tell her, "Hey, just relax. Just relax. It's the national semifinals, but just calm down."
Well, these 2 coaches have been here so often. But for some of these players, including the freshmen, this is a new experience, including all the Stanford players. It's new to them as well.
And the other thing we heard from Coach Rose was how now that Salima Rockwell is back as a part of his staff, that he and she laugh more than anybody should have license to, and have a great time working together, as she left for a few years to go to the Texas program. And now he's back as associate head coach. You would have to see on paper maybe the succession plan is in place at Penn State.
Along with Steve Mussey, the other assistant there. And when you talk about the Stanford bench, of course, the longtime relationship with John Dunning and Denise Corlett, one of the most respected assistants in the game, is Burgess gets the kill to even it up. There's John and Denise. Jason Mansfield, their other assistant.
A lot of continuity on those staffs, which is no accident, as these 2 programs have had such great success, especially Penn State these last 7-8 years.
We talked a lot about the freshmen. We talked a lot about Grant, the All-American in the middle, and it is a career night for Megan Courtney now with 21 kills for the Nittany Lions, and Hancock alongside Washington with the block, and it's Penn State by a couple.
And that's an underappreciated skill for Micah Hancock. She lines up here. Normally, she doesn't step out early and squat and jump. She'll take a run at it, use her arms to jump. That time, Moretta Lutz, as tall as she is, she has 2 blockers in front of her. That's not going to slow her down. She's having a great night herself now with 10 kills on 19 attempts, hitting over 420.
Hancock goes to Washington, skids home. Point Penn State.
And this is that slide play we talk about where a middle comes from one side of the court, comes around to the other. It's a natural, if you're a basketball player, that layup approach off one foot.
Courtney gets the ace. And now a moment of truth here for Stanford. You've been building towards this match all year long, the rematch. An opportunity to play for a national championship. You've been #1 for most of the season, and now time is getting short. You have to win this 4th set to force the 5th, and it's Penn State right now closing in on the match.
And one thing you think that's a little different with Stanford than Penn State, Stanford has played with this lineup so consistently. Yep. It's not really that you can think about making a substitution, making a move, as Penn State did last weekend, bringing freshman Simone Lee off the bench.
The numbers for Stanford, it's the best resume in the sports history with the 6 championships. The record semifinal appearances, the record finals appearances. It's the most tournament wins. And these are the only 2 programs that have played in all 34 NCAA Classics.
And yet, it's been 10 years since Stanford has won a title. That's a drought for them. It was 6 years since they got here, since 2008. In fact, it was 2008. Inky's sister was watching, so she started watching, and she just decided, Stanford, I like that school. That's my favorite. Made it easy for her to decide where to go. She didn't even have a plan B.
And what's made it tougher has been the fact that in those 10 years, the Cardinal have watched Penn State win 5 times. Winner of this one will play for a record 7th title against BYU on Saturday night. The unseeded Cougars, red hot right now, looking for their first championship. Megan Courtney serving for the Nittany Lions to 25, got to win by 2. Burgess gets the kill. And she will go back to serve.
This is a shot that Burgess has been hitting often. That cross court, hitting the seam between 2 blockers. She loves to run it faster than any other player in front of the setter for Stanford.
Franti.
And of course, keep an eye, because now Micah Hancock is in right front. She's going to get to her 3rd turn at the service line. A year ago in the NCAA final, she was huge down the stretch.
But first it's Gonzalez with a nice short serve. Bocather able to chase it down, and now in transition, Grant denied by Stanford. Howard and Lutz were there, and now the rotation where Lutz goes out and Ajanaku comes on.
This is Nia Grant again, blocking on her left side of the court, then coming around behind, but Stanford doing a much better job defensively than we saw earlier in the replay.
Hancock looking to Courtney out of the back, got it. A new career high for Megan Courtney, 22 kills, and here comes Hancock to serve.
And watch her come right down the middle. That one it went through the hands of Ajanaku. She was in a good position, and now Hancock at the line. Watch for that curve with the left hand.
Whistle. And a net violation on Penn State. Stanford limits the damage. They draw within 2. And now it's Bocather back to serve. To Whitney. Howard. Gonzalez down to keep it up. Franny with a big swing off the block. Great get by Burgess. Ajanaku, her only play was deep. And now to the middle, Gilbert with the D. Franti. Got it. And down on the other side for Penn State, so a point to Stanford.
Stanford, actually both teams, but Burgess in this case all over the floor, and Ajanaku coming up with a huge touch at the net to pull Stanford within one. She caught up. She was late and still got her hands over and in a good spot.
Big play there by Stanford. Penn State with the timeout. They have one left. Stanford does not have any. And a must-win for the Cardinal. Well, the NCAA Women's Volleyball Championship continues with the championship match on Saturday, December 20th at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN2. For more information, visit NCAA.com, your home for all 89 NCAA championships. Penn State, if they win this set, they are into the championship against BYU. If Stanford wins it, we go to a fifth. The Cougars, their fourth straight upset as they beat Texas in the semis to advance, and now their first chance at a championship. So out of the timeout for Penn State, it's Stanford right now with a little bit of the momentum.
Yep, one of the reasons that Stanford wanted to get back to its normal rotation or its normal starting position was to get Ajanaku at the net. Been a little more effective at the block, even though she only has 3. That last one pulls them to within 1. Russ Rose with a timeout just to set up what they want to do offensively to try to stress Ajanaku at the net more.
And let's see what Inky's got in mind. This freshman class that we've talked about, Penn State, similar to the junior class now at Stanford, coming in with such expectations. Ajanaku leading the way with Howard and Bug. They're all up front right now, and a point for Penn State. Can the Nittany Lions end the Stanford run for the second year in a row? And hand them a 5th postseason defeat in 7 head-to-head matchups. This is Howard. Got it off the block. Point Stanford.
For now, with Megan Courtney having been so hot, hitting over 322 kills, I would look to her. And if I were Penn State, I'd like the matchup with her hitting across the net from
there it
exactly
is.
That against Maddie Bug, the setter, who is not a bad blocker, but she's nothing like Inky Ajanaku. So watch. You've got Bug over here, and Megan Courtney's gonna hit right over her. They love that matchup, and they're gonna get it again on their next service turn. Wow.
Ajanaku towering over the Penn State block for the kill, and now Ajanaku out and Lutz is in.
Yep, watch Ajanaku go right over the block of Penn State. So again, we have Megan Courtney on the left hitting against Maddie Bug. She's been hot. I would probably go to the hot hand again, and Stanford gets the good touch.
Burgess tries the tip. They'll go back to Courtney. Defensively, Howard. Back to Burgess, missed it wide. Penn State, 2 points from the match, and a knockout of the top seed. Will number 1 and number 2 both fall tonight in the national semifinals? Bo Cather. Now it's Courtney once again. Cross court, Burgess stuffed. Hancock couldn't finish. Back to Burgess, blocked again. Gonzalez tracks it down. Sliding behind Washington. Match point, Penn State. Bug looking to Burgess. Fuller with the dig. Washington tried to play it over. Stanford with a chance. Lutz missed it. And Penn State upsets top-seeded Stanford. And will play for a record 7th national championship on Saturday night.